everyone. This is the Heroes Podcast. I'm so happy to be here with Jason McNamara. How are you?
I'm blessed, my brother. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're going to have a good show today.
Thanks for joining. Before you go into your story, I'll just give a bit of a background so everyone knows who we are having here today. And I'm really excited because I never had anyone who is a Navy veteran like Jason, an award winning speaker and founder of the No More 9 to 5 Club. I really love that. So, after overcoming poverty and serving in Guantanamo Bay, Jason built a successful sales career, retired early. How's that, guys? Retired early and now helping others and entrepreneurs, empowering them with automation, entrepreneurship, and mindset mastery. Uh, and he is on a mission to help people save, earn, invest their way into freedom. And that's probably financial freedom. We'll get to that, Jason. But did you want to tell us about the beginnings, your background, how hard that life was for you as a child?
Oh, yes, man, my brother, I just got goosebumps because you can only imagine if joining the military and becoming a prison guard in Guantanamo Bay and being selected by the CIA was when the story started getting better, what it was like before. Um, I was born in the Caribbean. I grew up poor in South Florida. My mom and dad divorced when I was very young, 2 or 3 years old. And I didn't get to see my dad as much as I wanted to. Very little or not at all in my younger years. And my mom seemed to always constantly be working. She was a nurse. She took the 12-hour shift. She took a second job, a third job, so she could provide for me as an only child. Sitting around going from babysitters and daycares and switching locations, I didn't really build up any kind of support circle for myself, a social circle that I could actually keep and influence. And I felt very, very lonely. Felt like I didn't have any friends. I felt like nobody cared about me. I felt like I couldn't keep it real with my parents. And it caused some problems. I didn't even realize this. My mom was just telling a story to my oldest son about how she used to call me Mr. Negativity. And it's so funny because I have no recollection of that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, my entire adult life, I've been told that I can be annoyingly optimistic. So somewhere I flipped the script. Um, Growing up by yourself, you learn to get creative. You learn to think outside of the box. You learn to entertain yourself. And I guess that was a blessing that came with the curse, right? My ability to leverage my mind. I dived deep into books. I got into all types of construction and creative. I like playing with my Legos and Connects. And, when I did have friends, I cared about my friends. I wanted my friends to come back over. I wanted my friends to stay my friends. So I started learning how to really socialize, how to also entertain myself and challenge myself, stimulate my own mind, so I wasn't bored twiddling my thumbs, getting in trouble because no kid wants to get in trouble, right? Hopefully, um, and somewhere along this line of growing up, I realized that I needed to do better. I did not enjoy the life that I was living. So I'd say around the time that I was hitting puberty, I started going outside and playing in the neighborhood, right? Maybe 11, 12 years old. And I started going out. I started running the streets with the kids in the neighborhood. And they were mostly older than me. They were mostly more experienced than me. And I got myself into some trouble. I fell in with the crowd that wasn't going where I wanted to go in life. And as I continued to grow older, I realized my own power, my own worth. I started getting more disciplined. I started focusing in school. I started making sure I was getting my good grades. I was going to the gym. I was taking care of myself. And I knew that the life that I was in, I wanted to escape from. So I ended up changing that. Let me know your thoughts, sir.
I just wanted to ask you, you said you didn't follow the right crowd. It was not the right environment. If you're okay to share, what sort of trouble did you get into? Was it I don't know, crime or drugs, or what was it?
It was a mixture of all of those things that were all around. Luckily I never got really bad into drugs and other things like that. But the group that I was running into definitely wasn't shy about taking things from stores or taking things from people, doing bad things. And, when I was going out, another part of this story is that I'm a I'm Caucasian, right? I'm Italian and Irish. I was the only white kid in my neighborhood. I was hanging out with a lot of ethnic minorities in America in South Florida, which is a big melting pot. It's a big cultural melting pot. And there were other people like me in the neighborhood, but they just didn't have the audacity to come outside and play with the rest of the kids like I did. So because of that, I think I got picked on a large amount and I had to learn how to fight. I actually went and took boxing classes. So I did get in a lot of fighting, a lot of fights, and I ended up getting a reputation for myself from trying to be able to smooth talk women, where my nickname was J Mac, to J Rock. Like if you mess with Jason, he might throw his rock in your face. So I had to learn how to kind of fend for myself and how to stand up for myself because I was bullied. Um, and it's something that I didn't like, right? I didn't like the idea that somebody bigger than me or tougher than me could pick on me or rob me, or even worse, they're just picking on me to try to impress their friends. So I learned to stand up for myself, and that was a huge shift for me. When I realized I had the power to stand up for myself, I didn't have to deal with bullying. I turned into the bully's bully. When I went to high school, I was like I said, really focused on my grades. I didn't go there to socialize at that point. I was in the gym weight training. I would practice with the football team, and then when I was walking around, seeing maybe special needs kids or freshmen or juniors or people younger than me or smaller than me, and I was seeing them get picked on, I would be the guy that went up to the bully and said, "Hey, come here, let's go talk in the bathroom. I'm going to show you a thing or two." They'd be like, "Whoa, hold on, tough guy. I'm sorry. Yeah, go apologize to him, not to me."
That's really inspiring, using your power to start to change some of these bullies into, yeah, normal people who are respecting others. Well done. And what's
Thank
been
you.
helping you to sort of finding clarity about who you are and what you could do with your life? Because this is a rough start of, yeah, school and poverty. How did this happen?
Well, I guess I can always say that I'm a little bit blessed. I was a little nerdy. My mom actually taught me financial literacy. Not everybody's parents teach them that. And my mom may not have splurged on a bunch of toys and video games, but the one habit that she would support is my consumption of books. So she would get me books, keep me entertained. So I had the ability to read, to understand, to comprehend, to communicate, which translated into a successful sales career down the road. But I also learned how to be disciplined from being an only child. So when I went to school, I remember one time in the 10th grade, I was accused of cheating. I finished my test. I got 100 before everybody else. I showed no work. And I don't know if you know about math teachers; they don't like it when you don't show your work, because the way he taught us to do it, I figured out a different way to solve it in my head that was faster. So, anyways, so he pulls me aside and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna have to send you to the principal's office." I'm like, "For what?" He was like, "You clearly cheated. You got 100. Where'd you get the answers?" I was like, "From my head." He was like, "I don't believe you. Show me." So he pulled out some math problems. I said, "Listen, just put some math problems on a paper and I'll solve it." He wrote it down. I looked. I thought about it for like 15 or 20 seconds. I gave him the answer. He said, "You can go to lunch early." So, it's really about putting in the work to understand your mind, how it works, because the way that they were teaching wasn't working for me. And once I understood how they were getting the answer, I created my own shortcuts and loopholes to work for me and my brain for where I wanted to go in life. Later on that year, I ended up taking a test in a competition called the American Mathematics Competition. And I won that competition out of every single student in the school. I was in 10th grade. I beat all the 11th graders, all the 12th graders. It was over 2,500 people. And at that point, I knew that I had something. I knew I could learn. I knew I could adapt. I started gaining a lot of confidence, not from just having to learn how to stand up for myself, but to bullies, but even to my professors and my teachers to prove I'm not a cheater, to prove I'm a real deal.
I love this story. How you've been out, what would I call this? Finding better ways and faster ways of getting to results. Because I think that what you do now is really something similar. You are showing people what works, and I guess getting there faster, because time is limited. We have limited time, I think, and that 9 to 5 that you have here, no more 9 to 5, is really taking a meat, a chunk of people's lives. So did you evolve from helping others and showing others how to be more efficient? Is that how you landed yourself in helping others today, or what was the journey like?
All right. So I actually went through a few careers. So in my younger days before the military, I worked normal jobs. First job, I was probably working at Burger King or at Subway as a sandwich artist, right? And I got a position at an office as an office manager when I was like 17, 18. So I was really good at organizing things and figuring things out, getting my ducks in a row. And then I worked at the Walmart distribution center, which paid really, really well, but it was mind-numbing work. Like take a box, put it on the conveyor belt. But because I was athletic, I could do that very well as well. I joined the military. I wanted to be a nuclear engineer because, my passion for math. And this is before I understood my core index values. I'm glad I did not become a nuclear engineer. I'm much better suited for the No More 9 to 5 club. But nonetheless, it was in my idea. I'm good at math, therefore I should do nuclear stuff. The Navy had other ideas. They said, well, we have enough nuclear engineers. We need more aviation technicians. I went to aviation technician school. They actually came to the entire school and said, we have enough aviation technicians. We need more prison guards in Guantanamo Bay. So they kind of sold it to me. They said, we get free flights to Puerto Rico. We get extra pay. I was like, you know what? I'm sold. All right. I'm not fond of the idea of turning wrenches on airplanes. So why not? When I went to Cuba, um, it was a learning curve. It was an experience. And again, I had to do a lot of growing and adapting, but I can definitely say I was still confident. I was still thinking outside of the box, and I was very resilient. And I think that's one of the reasons why I got moved from place to place and eventually ended up with CIA interrogations. I was providing transportation and security while they would do their interviews. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was a bully's bully. Like nobody was going to shake me. They weren't going to scare me. I had already experienced death and went through to the other side. So a lot of those things from, car accidents to fights to getting jumped really prepared me to show up in the military and just be able to be fearless. So I got my medals. I got my Navy and Marine Corps achievement medals. I got my honorable discharge, and I came home and I took a job with the state of Florida's Department of Economic Opportunity, helping disabled veterans overcome barriers to employment. That job was hugely intrinsically rewarding. While doing that, I became the student or the president of the Students Veteran Organization at my local college. I became the second vice commander of American Legion Post 318 and helped oversee the transition from their old building to building a brand new building and moving the entire post over to it. That building's still beautiful and existing today. It's a thriving community there. And while I was doing this, we set out on a campaign. And mind you, it wasn't just me. I had an amazing team. So shout out to Jordan Hill. Shout out to Senior Chief Ron Zimmerman. Shout out to Richard Williams. We had this team camaraderie to break records, to put the mission over the commission. Because there's almost like a mindset when you're working for the government. I saw it. It was icky. Too many people were the type of people that would just go hide in their cubicles, trying to do the least amount of work as possible so they can go home and enjoy their day. That was not our mindset at all. So we set out a campaign to get 100 vets hired in 100 days. And we did 435. We made the newspapers. The governor noticed. He said, what did you guys do? They did a case study on us, and we basically rewrote the rule books for the other offices across the state of Florida. And I loved that job. It was huge. It was great. After the military, I had my first son, second son on the way. I bought my first house and I was living in a little tiny duplex in an HOA. And while I was living there, I wanted to plant an orange tree. I had to ask permission. Permission was denied. I did not have permission to plant an orange tree in my own yard. And then my team ended up shifting. Ron Zimmerman retired. Jordan Kale went back into nuclear operations. He had the job I wanted that I don't envy now. Rich Williams got redeployed back to Afghanistan, and I had a whole new team of people. And the new team was not like my old team. I'm not going to name their names, but I was pulled aside and said, hey, you do great work, but you do too great of work. You need to stop making yourself look so good and just make sure you make the team look good. And I knew at that point it was time to go. So I wanted more financial freedom because I couldn't even plant an orange tree. So I decided to take a job in sales. I started off as a door-to-door sales guy, knocking on doors, learning how to add value, and apparently learning how to basically sell veterans, right? My job as a disabled veteran outreach program specialist was to find a veteran, set them down, discover their passions, discover their transferable skills, help them create a beautiful resume, and then find their dream jobs, call up those employers and get them an interview. That was my goal. So a little bit like sales, right? Selling the veteran to the dream job, right? What they want to do. So within 2 weeks of sales, I was promoted to supervisor. I switched companies after a few months, and I ended up working for the largest family-owned pest control company in America. And after 7 years, I was able to accelerate in ranks to the #1 residential sales guy in the company. I broke all the company records. I didn't have to go door to door anymore. As a matter of fact, when the old #1 guy, when I was finally breaking his records, when he asked me what I was doing, he said, man, I've been working 60, 70 hours a week trying to keep up with you. I said, I'm not doing that at all. I spend a lot of time floating in my pool. I make a lot of sales on my phone because I take care of my customers. I always give them my best possible price. I only sell them what they need and I keep it real with them. And because of that, I am their trusted advisor, which is by job our definition of the job. And because I'm legitimately a trusted advisor, they know they're getting the best deal when they come to Jason. They actually send me their friends and families. And not only would I get their friends and families, but because I built up this reputation in my community, I would get business that I wasn't supposed to get because, again, I was residential. So when the mayor or the city contract people or a major corporation wants the business, and they could go through the normal chain and call the office, but they've already heard about Jason McNamara. I'm getting that personal phone call. So I started getting contracts that were larger than what I should have been getting because of my network, because of my ability to build trust and maintain rapport with the people that I was serving. So after 7 years, I did it. Obviously, I think like year 2 or 3, I wasn't in my HOA anymore. I bought a little corner lot in Port St. Lucie, and then I ended up getting 2 5-acre lots in Palm City. Now I have almost every type of fruit tree you could think of. I have a pond stocked with fish. I have 4-wheeler trails. I have a shooting berm. I have solar panels up on the roof. I have a well. I can't even begin to tell you, life is good. I was able to create a life that I didn't need a vacation from. I was able to build my own dream life so I can take care of my kids, homeschool my kids, and move as I please. So somewhere around a little bit after COVID, I felt like I didn't need to go to work anymore. I was already having to homeschool the kids. I already had multiple rental properties because that's what I ended up doing. Part of my preaching about saving, earning, investing money, I didn't take all my bonus checks and just buy nicer cars. All right. I didn't buy better clothes. I didn't buy more jewelry. I invested in things that made money for me while I slept so that one day I could quit. I enjoyed sales. I enjoyed being a trusted advisor. I enjoyed the community building aspect of that. And I think I lost that somewhere along retirement. I went back to school for my MBA. I went and got my master's in business administration. I started exploring, opening up my mind. I listened to the Think and Grow Rich audiobook for the first time. I started studying the Eastern chakras and looking at theology all over the world and doing more shadow work on my own self. And I was always into philanthropy, but then I got really serious. We started several nonprofits locally in the South Florida area that I was very passionate about. And again, building that sense of community, that sense of charity, that sense of giving back. that allows us to feel fulfilled, right? Because what's the point of having a massive bank account? Just being greedy. I don't want to be like Mr. Scrooge. So, anyways, somewhere along the lines of this, I started investing in for-profit companies. And I wanted to build something that where I could serve people. So the first version of the No More 9 to 5 Club launched 3 years ago this month. It was completely free. There was not a single paid offer anywhere in sight. I told everybody, my goal is to help y'all save, earn, and invest money, live healthier and happier, and learn to learn better. Open up your mind, take off the blinders, and start answering the tough questions that you don't even want to ask yourself. Let's keep it real, right? Because the numbers in your bank don't lie, right? Your account statement is keeping it real. And if you can't keep it real and look at the cold hard facts of who you are, what you're doing with the number one resource you have, which is your time discipline, time efficiency, time management, it's incredibly important. And I'll tell you, one of the best investments I've ever made with my time is in myself, shadow work, discovering who I am, discovering who I wanted to be, challenging my own ego, my own perception of my own limited self-worth, and realizing that the potential and capabilities are unlimited. And everybody watching this, I want you to know that this is not just true for me, this is true for you too. If you decide it, if you choose it, if you want it, if you crave it, it will become. But you must believe in yourself first and foremost. Andre, back to you.
That's I really love how far you went, and I believe life is asking people how far one wants to go, because we know there is virtually unlimited possibilities. And the question is, I think that was that scene in Troy. I think the film Troy, it was probably Brad Pitt said, do you remember that?
I know the movie. I don't know if I know the scene. I'm listening.
I think it was saying something like, hey, whoever he was, everyone wants to take Troy. And the answer was, but how much they want it. Like,
yeah,
motivated, is it really a life and death to really go for it and have that full commitment? And I think when it comes to self-worth transformations, I would love to hear your opinion. Is again, it can take off when one is ready and committed, because this beautiful human mind has so many ways to find a way out and do another loop of self-sabotage. How do you see this yourself?
You can make excuses or get results. I'm so totally with you. You must be committed. And I always tell everybody we live it's 2025 while we're recording this. I don't know if you're going to watch this year, next year, or the year after. It don't matter to me. There's probably no saber-toothed tiger hanging outside of your window trying to eat you. Therefore, it's probably not life and death. It's not like you're hiding in the Trojan horse, heart pounding, ready to do or die. It's not that serious, but it is the rest of your life. And if you continue to put it off till tomorrow, might as well just not do it. You have now. That's what you were promised. You were promised this moment, this very moment, to control your thoughts, to control your choices, to really instill the confidence that you're going to do it if you want to. And if you make up an excuse to fail, you're going to fail. It's because you chose it. It's really up to you. Anything's possible. You have to choose your heart. People tell me it's hard being poor. You think it's easy getting lots of money in your bank account? No, there's different levels of hard. It's hard being in the hospital and being sick. Do you think it's easy to go buy health food and go exercise and walk and get enough sleep? That can be hard too for some people. You have to choose your hard. So whatever you decide to do, choose the hard that's best for you in the long run. Because I promise you, the easy route is not always the easy route.
That's very insightful. Thanks very much. I've seen the hard. I went to Potosi once in Bolivia. Miners every day, losing their health at the age of 40, 45, dying. That's hard, I believe. We have a fairly easy ride. And I know we are all blessed with our own stories and difficulties that we've come through. But yes, if you postpone it through tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, that could become another year, another decade. And some of my clients are in their 70s and 80s. And they have been putting it off for a little more time, to gain a little more time of false security. So how are you helping people today to close the gap, to really set themselves up to an amazing life?
Wow. You know, first of all, to those 70 and 80-year-olds that are taking their time, you know, I want to say messy action with the right intentions are better than not taking any action because you're stuck and paralyzed in fear. So again, you've made it 70 or 80 years on this planet. Look outside the window. There's not a saber-toothed tiger. What are you waiting on? Take action today. All right. The way I help people is I motivate them. I challenge their fears. I challenge their doubts. I challenge their limiting beliefs. I want to inspire them to do better. I want to remind them of what it was like to be a child. Maybe they weren't an only child with a whole bunch of time to leverage their imagination and be creative like I was. But that imagination, that creativity is going to play a role in whether they get up and do something or not, and what it is that they're going to do. Maybe their imagination is, I just want to get up and walk around the park every day. Great, go do that. If you want to build rocket ships, guess what? People are doing that too. So it's totally possible. It's really up to you. Um, so there's a variety of ways that we help people. You know, we still have an amazing, I don't even like to use the word free, an amazing complementary membership, right? We have a 501c3, a nonprofit. We give out tons of free value to the world, free courses, free live virtual events, free trainings, free access to experts. A lot of people can't even imagine why we would do this. I just want to say, if you put the mission over the commission, the results will come. I retired. I have my massive bank account. I don't need to take your dollars in your bank to contribute to my bank. Okay. That's just my thought process. I'd rather help you win more. And then when you're ready to reinvest in tools, in assistance, in automations, in the grander scheme of things, we do have resources for that. And those aren't free, right? Because we got to pay the team. They got to eat too. So that's kind of what we do on the low side. You know, we help the normal person, the 9 to 5er, the struggling person, the aspiring entrepreneurs. We not only help them with their ideas and their confidence, but we also have tools in the basic membership that will help them lower their bills, will help them earn a passive income stream, will help them start diversifying into a portfolio so that they can actually have some liquidity, some assets one day built up. But for the people who are already in business, the people who are already making money, the people who really have value, right? They're an entrepreneur. They figured out how to add value, very much like you, Andre. Changing minds, changing lives. If y'all don't think this is valuable, I mean, this is gold. When you figure out how to exchange your value, sometimes you start off as a solopreneur. You might even get good at it. But a lot of times, just like me, when I was younger, trading my time for money, building a business, eventually you need to buy back your time. And that's where we come in. Once you've got enough money to buy back your time, we'll take your money and we'll give you time freedom. That's way better than financial freedom.
What a message, huh? Time freedom. How many people are chasing to make that time freedom, which obviously is sometimes a financial question. How could they afford to have time? So what's the best way to, if somebody's excited about who you are and what you do, because I think it's a beautiful mission, obviously, not driven by money anymore. You have taken care of you probably for generations to come. What's the best way to engage with you? How could they find out what you do? Tell us.
Absolutely. So for the folks listening to this, I don't know if they're going to get a link, or I know for the folks watching this on YouTube, they'll probably get a link. But for everybody, whether you're listening or watching, the No More 9 to 5 Club, the No More 9 to 5 Club. Here, I'll even show you the hat. The No More 9 to 5 Club.org. We have a nonprofit called the No More 9 to 5 Foundation.org. We also have a third pillar that's registered as a doing business ad called mindtrainerpro.com. It's mindtrainer-pro.com. And that's brain entrainment technology. So we're all about optimizing the brains for anybody and everybody who wants to think better thoughts, because that's the foundation of it all. It all starts up here. This is the central nervous system for everything else you do. And, you know, not just your brain, because what your brain's thinking is going to start from right here through your heart. What you're feeling is going to dictate what your brain is thinking. So you need to learn how to control those emotions, conquer them. And again, look around. There's no saber-tooth tiger. And if you think there is, come to the no more 9 to 5 club.org and join us, and we'll peel back the curtain and show yours. You are safe.
I really love that, because that safety is probably the biggest missing piece for a lot of people today who are influenced by media and the spreading ideas of scarcity and unsafety and divorce and all kinds of threats that's been promoted. And I think there is a plan to not creating free people. I see that happening on this planet, but I'm wondering, what would you be celebrating in 5 years' time if things went well for you?
Well, you know, I've got a handful of servant leaders that I work with in the No More 9 to 5 Club. So I'm going to be celebrating with them. When I say a handful, it's multiple handfuls, but I'm going to be celebrating them with them somewhere. I'm going to be celebrating their success because, you know, a rising ship lifts all, or a rising tide lifts all ships. So I'm going to not only be celebrating with them, but with all the other people that are high vibe. And I say high vibe for a reason, high vibrational. I don't want to just help anybody get financial freedom or time freedom. I want to help the good people that are going to do better, right? I want to help the future philanthropists, the people that if they hit the lottery, they're not just going to go waste it all on a boat and get drunk for the rest of their life. They're going to do something good for humanity. They're going to leave a positive imprint on this planet that we all share. You know, we're all in the same home here. Just because you're not in this room with me doesn't mean we're not sharing space. So I'm going to celebrate that the amazing community that we've built is actually making a real positive impact on this place we call home, this planet Earth. And their success is my success. Also, in the long term, if I'm going to be real, I'd love to launch my own ministries. 508, the No More 9 to 5 Ministries. I also already bought the domain, the No More 9 to 5 Club Fund. So any of you Forex managers, good stock traders out there that want to partner on that, get at me. But I do have massive plans, and I'm going to put those on hold because what we've already built is the main passion, right? It's the main purpose. And until that is completely rolling and serving as many people as possible, I'm not going to hire another CEO to run the No More 9 to 5 Club. My job here is not complete until this thing is where I need it to be. And then I can move on to the next project and the next project and the next project and just see where my curiosity and imagination takes me.
That's like an adventure, isn't it? I really sense that it's a good game to play, to make change and to liberate people with tools, giving them the tools to then liberate even more. What have I not asked, Jason, that you wanted to share with the audience today?
You know, I'd love to give the audience a little bit of advice. And I touched briefly on the quality of our thoughts. But it's really, really important for people to be their own best friend first and foremost. Andre, you're the doctor of self-worth. So you understand the ability for somebody to speak to themselves in their own mind, to connect with themselves on a personal level and be their biggest cheerleader, not just their biggest critic. I'm not saying that you have to be annoyingly optimistic to yourself and have all the blind spots. You can totally be your biggest critic. But if you critique yourself, you need to still love yourself. You need to care enough about yourself so you are happy. And you need to start noticing what you need to succeed, because too many people are trapped in this life and it looks like a hamster wheel. It looks like the rat race. And that's why we say escape the rat race. So when you learn about who you are, when you learn about your core essentials of what you need, make sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're treating yourself right. Because if you're not treating yourself right, taking care of yourself, the chances of the world doing it are way, way lower.
How powerful that is. Jason, thank you very much for coming on the show. I hope we're going to have more and more messages spread out in the world for people to come into your corner and learn from your tools and groups and the structure that you've established. Thanks very much for your time, and see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.